I saw this story on the Black conservative perspective, and it caught my attention, particularly based on the last video I posted on DL Hughley, and well, down to the individual's opinion, um, can black people, or black Democrats, display racism when they're sort of expressing themselves and certain narratives. Anyhow, to cut a long story short, this is a piece with Van Jones, CNN piece, when he was interviewing some black Trump voters and trying to get a perspective on Donald Trump and how he was able to get so many people, probably younger people and black voters. So anyway, while they're trying to figure that out, he asks the assembled panel various questions, and he also discusses with some other Democrats, what their perspective is, and he gave his perspective on how Donald Trump managed to, you know, garner such a successful election campaign result. Anyway, what I'll do is I'm not gonna watch the whole video because it's quite lengthy. I just put it in the right direction. If you want to see the full thing, check it out on the Black Conservative Perspective or the CNN piece with Van Jones. Without no further ado, as one often says, yes, get into it.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next one.
He said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
It was a movement. Look,
movement, heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
Boy. So we got to talk about the black bourgeoisie. They are upset because CNN aired a segment where Van Jones was interviewing Trump supporters, black Trump supporters, and they thought that they better get the black Trump supporters with race bait and gotchas, right? They thought they'd be able to guilt trip the black Trump voters into regretting their votes for President Trump. However, that didn't happen. And because of that, the black liberals, like Roland Martin and others, are upset, right? They're boo-hoo-wide and crying. And one of the reasons why they are upset is because that is their job, right? Every time you have a black person that comes out and says, hey, I'm a conservative, I support Trump, I don't agree with the Democrat Party. The black liberals tilling the Democrat plantation, they come out of the woodwork and they get upset, right? They go back and they try to rescue the runaway slaves, right? Because their white liberal masters told them that, hey, these blacks, they don't want to till the Democrat plantation anymore. They've ran away. You got to go get them, right? Go get them and bring them back. And that is basically what Roland Martin is doing in his reaction to this interview from CNN, because everybody knows Roland Martin, okay? When he sees a black person that does not agree with the Democrat Party, that is a Trump voter, he always has to
jump in his ass. You got to jump in his ass. Jump in his ass. His ass. You got to push back immediately. Jump in his ass.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Okay, y'all think I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna mess with y'all and say this to take y'all out.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth teller.
But you need to know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this thing.
She said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
John, those are three of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so let me just unpack what I heard. Now I know Morgan's like, oh no, you can't go there. Actually, I can go there because those are three idiots. First and foremost.
Well, I want to hear the rationale.
No, here's why.
Yeah, I want to hear the rationale too, right? I want to hear the rationale because I don't think they're dumb. I think they're pretty smart, right? I think that they've got a lot of bang for their buck. As a black person in this country, the number one issue for black people should be immigration, right? There should be no other issue that is more important to black people than immigration, especially black men. And we all know that Roland Martin, he supports the Democrat Party. So he supports open borders, right? He supports illegals coming into the country and depressing your wages, competing with black men for jobs, right? Because that's who the illegals are competing with. Whether or not people want to acknowledge that or not, that is the reality of the situation. But let's hear what Roland has to say, his rationale behind why these Trump voters are so dumb.
First of all, when the woman in red, yeah, I was listening to Candace Owens. We know she lies. We know she just lies. Well, I was listening to Candace Owens and I read her book. Okay, you're listening to a grifter. Okay, so she's not giving you factual information. She's a grifter. Let's go to this idiot dude who needs a haircut. Okay, so he's sitting here. Yeah, TikTok is the holy grail. I'm not getting my information from news channels. I'm getting it from TikTok. Here's what we know based upon polling. People who got information from news sources voted more so for Harris because they got factual information. Folk who got their information from non-news sources, they voted for Trump.
See, he says this as if that means that Trump supporters are uninformed, right? Or they are misinformed because Trump voters don't get their news from mainstream liberal media, right? Trump voters actually do their own research and they don't believe all the propaganda that comes out of the mainstream liberal media. Now, again, the reason why the people who consume mainstream liberal media vote Democrat is because, again, the media is overwhelmingly biased towards Democrats. That doesn't mean that they're getting their information from factual sources. That's actually not what it means because, again, these are the same liberal media outlets that told us that inflation was transitory, that the border's not open, that crime is down, that Joe Biden's the sharpest he's ever been. And if you don't believe that, then F you, right? These are the same liberal media outlets that told us that Kamala Harris was winning the 2024 election, that she was ahead of Trump, right? That she was so amazing. I mean, we can't forget about all the lies that were told during COVID, right? Especially when it comes to the vaccine. Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, except it was real. So again, I'm trying to figure out how is it that watching the mainstream liberal media, when they've told lie after lie after lie after lie after lie on behalf of the Democrat Party, how does that make you more informed, right? I think that actually really makes you indoctrinated in Democrat Party propaganda. That's what they actually really mean here. So if you're getting your information from the mainstream liberal media, that doesn't mean that you're getting more quote unquote factual or true or correct information than you would be getting from alternative news sources. It just means that you're getting the information that the corporate liberal media establishment wants you to get, right? That's all it means. Okay. That's all it means. But see, what Roland Martin is trying to do here is that he's trying to frame Trump supporters as unsophisticated. Well, they don't get their news from real news sources, so they must be uneducated or uninformed. That's the only way that they can vote for Trump. And the leftists, they love this, right? They love this kind of elitist propaganda that they put out here about Trump supporters because they really want people to think that Trump supporters are mouth-breathing idiots, right? When that's actually not the case. Trump supporters are actually very sophisticated. In fact, I would argue that a sophisticated person, an intelligent person, would recognize the bias of the mainstream liberal media, the bias of the news, and they would diversify their news sources, right? A sophisticated person would not only watch alternative news, but they would also watch regular news as well, too, to get a balance, right? To get both perspectives, and then you could use critical thinking in order to come to your own conclusion. That actually describes a vast majority of Trump supporters, right? And what describes a vast majority of liberals, okay, people that watch Roland Martin show, again, these are people who are getting all of their news from biased liberal media news sources, and they're not really critically thinking or thinking outside of the box, right? These are the people who are actually not sophisticated or not very informed when it comes to the issues, right? So again, it's just funny because I'm hearing some projection, right, from Roland Martin here, to be honest with you.
So right there, he's listening to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Then, I kind of like it that he's an asshole. Okay. I don't know how you can run against that, because if you just choose not to be an idiot, I mean, I don't know how you could do that. But then you got the other woman, I'm sick of black people who don't try to do something to fix the situation.
So that was a story. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Before I go, here's a quick word from today's video sponsors, smalldebts.co.uk. If you're UK based and you have you're having any issues getting money paid to you from any source that owes you money, be it a online scam or money you need to reclaim for whatever reason, a rent deposit from a landlord or anything whatsoever, and you've reached the end of your tether, they know what they're doing. They can step into your corner and sort that matter out for you. That's smalldebts.co.uk.
Struggling to get your security deposit back or dealing with unfair charges? At Small Debts, our tenant advocate service fights to get your money back. No stress, no hassle. Take control today. Visit smalldebts.co.uk and start your case now.
If you'd like to leave your perspective and view in the comments, I'll get back to you and I'll respond to every single one of those comments as I usually do. For now, you've been listening to myself, Owen Uaje, here at CornerSpeak. Be good, be safe, be creative. I'm out.